Okay, everyone. I hope you're all back. Okay, we have a special three group of people. We have Lydia, Simba, and James. And let's see, who are we gonna start with? Let's start with you, James. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Okay, James, can you introduce yourself?
I am James Drover. I am a AD, assistant director. I've worked on 4 different productions: Hudson and Rex, Departure, Son of a Critch, and Astrid and Lily.
It's awesome. How long have you been an assistant director?
Not long. It's been since about June, I think.
Wow. How's it like since you just started, kind of?
It's good. It's definitely a change of pace. It's a very different lifestyle to the usual Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've definitely found like I've found my place and my people.
That's awesome. So for anyone who doesn't know, what is the difference between an assistant director and a director?
So it's very much a tiered system. The director is very much in control of the entire set, really. And as an assistant director, we help them carry out whatever they need done to get whatever's in their head into the camera. And there's various levels. Some people are in the trailers, making sure that the actors are being brought to set, proper meal times, wardrobe changes. Some people are directly on set, running around, making sure that no one walks into the frame eating a sandwich while we're rolling. It's pretty. There's a wide spread to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll be back with you for more questions. Let's see, we also have Lydia here. Hi, Lydia. Oh, you're muted, Lydia. It happens.
There you go. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm very new to this whole industry. I started, I think, last summer. So this is my first production or first film, and I work in the office as the office production assistant. Yeah.
What does an office production assistant does?
They do a lot. I think it's just helping the production office run smoothly in terms of the daily to daily activities. There is the technical aspect of it, which is more paperwork, dealing with more paperwork, but the other aspect is just between going from the production office to set, from the set to the production office, or things like that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And how long have you been working?
Since summer, so a couple months. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great, thank you for that. And we also let's go back to James. James, how did you know this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life? Or for now, at least?
I kind of knew it was what I wanted to do before I really knew it was what I wanted to do. When the pandemic hit, I found myself with a lot of free time. The only place I could really go was outside, so I bought a bunch of cameras and sort of started making little pseudo nature films about Newfoundland. And my good friend Rachel was like, "Hey, you should come and work with us." And I showed up for one day, and the third assistant director was like, "Okay, well, clear your schedule." And yeah, here I am.
That's awesome. What about you, Lydia? Did you always knew you wanted to work in the film industry, or how did that happen?
They had the workshop for, like, it was a technical workshop, and they advertised it, and I happened to be one of the people who were chosen for that workshop. And I've done a lot of different, like, part-time jobs like anyone else, like any other student. So this was a very new world to me. But I say personally, I like it so far because it challenges me in a different way. because the film industry is very different from other industries. So I personally like the challenges that come with it so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Simba, can you hear me? Let's see if we can
Yeah,
hear you.
I can hear you clearly. Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So let's start. Who are you? Your background?
So my name is Simba, and I'm a trailer AD or a fourth AD, and I recently just came into that. I actually started out as background. It's been a wild ride, but here we are.
Can you explain a little bit like what is your job? What exactly that you do?
Right. So as a trailer AD, what happens is I'll be in charge of base camp. So that's the space that the cast start in before they head off to set. So the idea is that I have to keep everything calm and I have to keep everyone supplied on set. Basically, I just keep set running smoothly. So for example, if set needs paperwork or if I need to get something from the office, I'll be the bridge between set and the office, and I'm the one who takes care of the cast. So yeah.
And how did you find yourself working? How did you end up there?
I'm not even sure how exactly to explain that, because
Try.
it is a long story, because
Go ahead.
essentially what happened was, I suppose it all began on departure when the trailer AD on departure said, "Hey, you should come work," right? And I suppose they just really liked the work that I was doing, and they said, "We'd like to train you up." And here I am. That's just to make a long story short, but it's a lot more complicated than that.
Okay, that's awesome. So James, back to you. What would you advise our students who are going to direct, most of them, their first film? What would you say to them?
Well, first off, I just want to say Simba's being very, very modest. He's incredible. I've worked with him in his background. I've worked with him on set. And when I'm on set, we need to get actors, the talent to set. He makes sure they're there on time and in great spirits.
Okay.
So advice for someone trying to direct something: watch a lot of movies. There's no way around it. If you're going to direct something, you have to watch a lot of movies, a lot of television shows. Watch movies that you don't think you'd like. Watch movies in different languages from different countries, and just as much as you can. You just have to immerse yourself in it.
Okay. Now we have Hiccup. She asked, what is your favorite part about production? So I guess it's a question for all three of you. Lydia, do you want to answer that? Your favorite part?
I think for me it would be the unknown, in the sense that, let's say I go into the office, there's different things for me to do every day. So I like that every day I come in, there's a different challenge, there's different expectations, there's different things for me to do. So it doesn't get really boring. I think that I think that's one of the things that I like about working in the production office.
And I wonder, how do you handle the stress? Because it sounds very stressful, right?
I think the stress can be in any job, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you have to drink lots of coffee and just honestly, you find different coping ways within this job, and I feel there's great team and there's great lots of people, so you just communicate with people. They are always eager to help you, and yeah, you just move on from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say, Simba, is your favorite part about production, working in production?
I'd say working with the cast is the most interesting thing, because like these are usually really famous people that have like a big fan following, and they're just regular folks, and it's really interesting how you get to interact with them. So I'd say that's, I think, my favorite part about working in production, because you do really start to learn like lots of different things. So just because someone seems a certain way, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're that way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess. And what about you, James? Favorite part?
I'm a big cinematography nerd, so watching how lighting and framing is done by the DPs we work with. John Dyer was incredible. Obviously, Ian Vatcher, fantastic. And then seeing that come out in the final edit after color grading and corrections done, I always find that fascinating. It's like painting in with real life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And I wonder for you guys, I mean, I remember when I was doing my little short for the film festival, seeing all the amount of work that goes into really films. Like, can you try to explain the students like how not easy all of this is? Say you, Lydia.
Oh God. Okay. You see, for me, I know all the work that the production office does. In terms, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it, a lot of printing, a lot of prepping in terms of you gotta prep scripts, other sorts of paperwork that we don't have time to get into, then make sure that the people on set or the people on base camp actually have the paper, have the paperwork. So there's a lot of preparation that actually goes into all of this. I feel like that's what most people don't know. It's like, as you say, there's a lot of work needed for this to be possible, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And I have a question for you guys. What is the best day and the worst day you had so far? Simba?
That's a good question.
I think the worst day that I ever had was on Departure, where I was a set production assistant and we had at least 60 background coming in, right? So it's you're really trying to manage 60 different people who all have different needs and you're trying to get them to set. And obviously it's also like a really stressful environment. But I feel like also if you manage to keep your calm and take your time to prep, like Lydia said, then everything turns out fine because yeah, like that might have been my worst day, but I found myself here now. And I think my best day on set was, I think, one of my first Thursdays on as the trailer AD. And not necessarily that the day itself was great, but like at the end of the day, having finished an entire week of work, I thought that this is amazing that I managed to achieve that. So the sense of gratification that you do get is really uplifting, and I feel like it's definitely something worth chasing.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, James?
I try not to hold on to the worst days, so I'm having a hard time thinking about that. Some days are challenging. I can think of just a couple moments during different days that I was just like, oh, let's get through this. But yeah, you know, they're all good in their own way. The best day I've ever had in terms of the actual work. Oh my goodness. I really enjoyed shooting at Brigus South recently. A bunch of us stayed in some houses down in Brigus South where we did 6 days shooting with Hudson and Rex. We had some great cast. George Jeffrey, he was the first assistant director who I love working with. Felipe, the director, who is he's like if you were to take an energy drink and a bag of Skittles and personify them. He's just energy. And when we wrapped that day, it was nice. Everyone, just the cast, the directors, we just sat there skipping rocks for an hour. It was just a nice day.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. And what about you, Lydia?
I think the most, I would call it a challenging day, was driving around, because I just got my driver's license and I'm not the most experienced driver in Newfoundland. So it was a challenge driving in different parts of town. I think that was it. And in terms of the most exciting day, it was the first day actually, that I started working, because it was a new environment, new people. So it was just a lot to take in, but it was a lot in a very fun, exciting way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see, James, I want to ask you, what do you think would be a good way to do a great film with limited technology? I mean, a lot of these students are going to film, through their phones. Is there like any technique, any way they can do and it make their film look good?
Yes.
Any practical? Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, the greatest film and one of my favorite looking films of all time was made in 1954. Like, the technology has come so far, even if you have next to no money. The best camera you have is the one you got. Use your phone. I mean, most people have a cell phone. You can shoot and edit a movie essentially on your phone. There's been movies shown in movie theaters that were filmed on iPhones at this point in time. So look into image stabilization, something that you can sort of digitally stabilize your phone with. A good solution is put a tripod on an office chair or a skateboard just to get smooth shots. And Google how to properly expose a shot before you shoot it, so you're not stuck in post being like, oh, I can't see anything. It's all either super bright or super dark. Those would be the first places I would go to getting into it with limited budget or gear.
Awesome, thank you. Simba, I want to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I like to think that in 5 years, I'll either be the first assistant director or the director themselves. I really am. I think this is my passion, and I'm feeling very ambitious about it. And like, all the people that I work with are definitely boosting me and getting me there. Like, for example, James, I absolutely love working with James, and in 5 years, I definitely hope to be still working with him.
Yes, that's awesome. And did you always know that you wanted to do this, or was there like a moment where you were like,
Initially, I was more interested in writing per se rather than being behind the scenes. I suppose writing is still behind the scenes, but it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to be hands-on, helping make the movie or whatever. But I've always had a passion in film, and I absolutely love movies. I mean, if you just look around my room, I've got posters upon posters upon posters. So yes, I think I always knew that this is what I wanted to do, even if I didn't directly specifically know that it would be as an AD.
that's awesome. And you, Lydia, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Honestly, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not sure. But in relation to this industry, I would like to be, maybe in 5 years, the production coordinator or the production manager. I really like the logistics that actually go into it to make to make the production work and just function the daily to daily. And I would like to be in front of the camera in the sense that why not be an actress, Who knows in 5 years?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on, I mean, I wonder because in the film industry, there are so many roles. Does it, like, for you guys, do you think it would be a good idea to just be in the set, whatever job you have, just to get your foot in there? What do you guys think about that? What do you say, Lydia?
For me, the at the beginning, I shadowed a couple different departments. So I shadowed lighting, sound, and camera plus production. Then after that, I discovered, okay, production is the one for me. But for the students, I would really advise them to really just try different things and see which one kind of suits you, your personality, and also your skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about that, James? Like getting your foot there at the door.
Really, any way in is good. Daily Don't be afraid to, try to reach people in different departments, to put a resume in, try to talk to the keys in all the departments. And don't be afraid to do daily work in different departments. You will, just by trial and error, find where you fit in best, where your skills and talents lie. And yeah, don't be afraid of work, because there's a lot of it. And really, you're not going to know whether you love something until you try it. So yeah, just talk to everyone on set.
I wonder, what are your guys' thoughts about after high school doing film school? Because some people are some students are debating whether it should go or not. What are your thoughts about doing that? Say you, Simba, what do you think?
Could you just repeat the question? Sorry.
Yes, of course. Like some of our students are debating whether they should go to film school, whether is this something that they should do, shouldn't do, is it necessary? What do you think?
I think it's definitely worth it to follow your passions. Like personally, I didn't go to film school or anything, right? I completed my English degree, and that's how I essentially ended up getting here, because one of my professors recommended me for a background position, and now here I am. So I'd say that if you really want to go to film school and like become more specialized in that particular trade, then do it. But it's not necessarily the end of the road if you don't go through film school, because you never know how it goes. I think the best thing that you can actually possibly do is just form meaningful connections with people that are on set and already in film, as opposed to trying to get a certificate and then not knowing anyone and never really getting in.
And what would you advise them to, like from scratch? They don't know nobody from the industry. What do they do?
I think the best thing that they can possibly do is, for one, in terms of like wherever they're going to school, just try to get into like theater programs or film programs and just stuff like that. But I think also it would help that if, say, they wanted a foot into the industry, just to even see what it's like to be on set, I think background work would be really good, because I definitely started in background and now here I am, right? So I think that's the best thing that they can possibly do.
That's awesome. James, do you want to add to what he said?
Sure. So in terms of film school, a lot of the people we work with went to film school, but if you're, if that's not an option for you, for instance, really just try to get as much daily work as you can. It really comes down to exposure and listening. And most people in all departments that you talk to, if you go up to them and you ask them questions about what they do and how to do it, they are more than happy to share. I think the crew on Hudson RX is probably sick of me asking how this works and that works at this point. Like, don't you have work to do? Go do your job. So yeah, just be friendly, be open, ask lots of questions. Take the opportunities as they come, and don't be afraid to say yes to something that might not be the thing you wanted, because I guarantee you, a film set is like a big ecosystem where everything works off of another. Every department works off of another, so you will interact with the thing you wanted to do.
And Lydia, do you also want to add your thoughts about it? Film school, how to get in?
I agree with what Simba and James have all said. I think in terms of, you gotta weigh the pros and the cons, of course, for the whole situation. I also think if you decide not to go to film school, just network yourself, honestly, is very important. Just email people, as the guy said, do background, do daily work. And you could also Facebook groups. There are many, many Facebook groups on like background work and just daily work itself. So, just network and get yourself out there. Probably definitely get something.
That's awesome. And do you guys have any advice for our students that are going to do their first film? really any advice, like with the storytelling, camera work, what do you guys think they should really focus on when they first start? Say with you, James, what do you say? One moment. Okay, so Simba?
Sorry, I lost the meeting there for a second.
Oh,
I was
okay.
looking for a link. There's a bunch of great resources online. I would look at the very basics, like, you know, your first film, you're not going to be working with Christian Bale, you know, or you know, Michael B. Jordan. So, you know, try to make what you have, the sets, the talent, the music, the set dressing stuff, look as good as you can. So figure out a way to get a really steady camera shot, and figure out how to properly expose it. That's like the very basics of how a camera works. Really mastering that can make, you know, I would rather you'll get a better shot out of a $200 camera in the hands of someone who's really mastered how a camera works than a $4,000 camera put in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to use it, you know?
Mhm. And I want to move to Simba. You mentioned writing. I was wondering, and also films, obviously, but I was wondering, like, what do you like about stories? What kind of thing that has that you think, oh my gosh, that is a great story that you can kind of advise for our students?
I think when it comes down to writing a story, it should be really about what you are interested in and not necessarily what would appeal to other people. Because at the end of the day, if you can write something that you feel very passionate about and it comes across, your passion comes across, then other people will feel that very same passion. Because for me, stories are it's information, right? You're informing others on a particular subject, right? So it's just a way of learning, and if you can show people your passion, they can also learn to love your passion, right? So I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And Lydia, what would you say, I mean, regarding with the prep work, with you know, filming this, what kind of advice do you have for our students to prepare to film all this, get their stuff?
Prep. In terms of prepping, prep, like do everything, then just go over it again. Because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you find, oh, I did A, B, C, and D, but actually to get from point A to point B, you need a couple, 3 steps. So it's very easy to miss those 3 steps. So I think just in terms of getting to film and doing the whole production, you should give yourself enough time to prepare, do the script, whatever, then go back and actually make sure you're really happy with the script and the work itself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to say, guys, for our students, if you have any question, really anything to ask our panel, go ahead, because I'm running out of questions. No, I'm kidding. You're super interesting. Let's see, what can I ask you guys? Oh, what filmmakers inspire you? Let's start with James.
I absolutely adore Akira Kurosawa, who did Seven Samurai and Yojimbo and Ran. Going back and watching what he managed to do as far back as the 50s, you know, it's incredible. It really makes you realize that you don't need an Arri Alexa and, you know, a bunch of $5,000 lenses to make an incredible movie. I love Terrence Malick. I'm pretty much obsessed with Chivo. Got Emmanuel Lubezki, who won the Oscar for cinematography 3 years running. Just, I don't think that's ever happened. Absolutely love. Oh my God, who did her? Is it Spike Lee or Spike Jonze? They're very different people. Anyway, yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, guys, you know what I just noticed? It's already 8:30. So we're done with our time together with us three. So we're gonna take a quick, thank you so much for being here and giving us some really awesome tips and giving us your experience. And I wish you all really a lot of good luck. And we're gonna take 1 minute break, guys, students. 1 minute break for us to stretch. And then we're gonna keep going to our next guest. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to say
Okay.
I dropped a link in the comments for
Oh.
an excellent resource for anyone just looking to get into filmmaking themselves. Give it a look if you have the time.
Awesome, thank you, James. Okay, we'll be back in
Thanks.
1 minute. Bye, guys. Thank you again.
Bye.